Hello everyone, welcome back to the Fit Nerd channel. I'm the Fit Nerd, and today I want to talk about the new Power Rangers movie and how much I really liked it. Being someone who grew up with Power Rangers, I loved this movie. I loved the show as a kid, and now that they finally have a new movie out, it's nice to reflect back on how awesome Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was. Now, I stopped watching Power Rangers after Wild Force because unfortunately Power Rangers decided to not grow up with its audience and decided to stay at the age range that it was originally intended for, which is fine, I get it, but it kind of sucks when you're a fan growing up and you really can't keep watching it because it's still just as corny, just as cheesy, just as lame, which is all really well and good with the original series because at least then it's nostalgic, but at a certain point, nostalgia goggles just can't save you. But what I really was excited about with this new movie was letting it be a little bit more mature, a little darker, let the movie give the audience, the original audience that is of the series, something new to look at, something fun to look at, and something more mature because this is what I've been wanting from Power Rangers for years, is something a little bit more mature. Now, I didn't necessarily love that bootleg universe movie that they made a couple years ago. It was okay. I didn't hate it, but I'm just too nitpicky about stuff. I was complaining about continuity errors. I thought it was trying to be too dark, and seeing the Power Rangers use like actual guns was just a little too dark for me. Blasters is what they should be using, not actual like assault rifles and stuff like that. This I felt had the perfect balance between being dark and campy. Not perfect balance, but a decent balance, I will say. There are a couple of times where it's like, okay, that's really dark, and then all of a sudden it shifts to something really dorky, which worked in something like Guardians of the Galaxy, because Guardians of the Galaxy was written a lot better than this. But here, it just kind of felt more awkward. Now, don't get me wrong, the whole movie is actually really good. It's just every now and again they do that. Now, let's talk about the acting a moment. The acting here is phenomenal. Everyone pulls in a great performance, which is surprising for something called Power Rangers. And when you think of Power Rangers, you think of cheesy acting, cheesy action, everything that's just nothing but campy and corny. But here, everyone seems to be taking it seriously. Aside from Elizabeth Banks, she looks like she's having more fun with her character, or at least I hope she was. She was being more campy like with the original Rita, which is fine. I was okay with that. Some people were complaining about it, but I didn't mind it. Everyone was on point in this movie. Standout performance, though, was definitely RJ. He did wonderfully as Billy. What I liked about it is they did make him autistic, but they didn't make him goofy. They made him more believable, more real. And even with Becky G's character, it's implied that she's a lesbian or at least bisexual in the film. And what was really cool about that is like these are both like things that are just mentioned, but they don't absorb the story, and it's handled really well for both of them. Some people might be thinking it's trying to push an agenda. I'm like stretching it here, but they really aren't. They're just saying, hey, these are people too. This is how some people are. And what I liked about it is like Power Rangers has always been known for its diversity, even with the original series. So here, having a character be somewhat disabled and having a homosexual character is actually really fun to see in a movie, and handled so well that you have to give the movie props for that at least. One thing I do have to appreciate about reviewers who even don't like this movie are at least saying that, hey, that's handled really well, and you gotta give the movie credit for that. But aside from that, though, everyone is really well done, but I still believe that RJ stole the show. This is definitely Billy's movie. I believe Billy is the lead character of this film. Jason might be the leader of the Power Rangers, but Billy Cranston is the lead character. And I even read in an article, well, a Wikipedia forum, how they said Billy's name first, not Jason's name. I was like, yep, that's right, because it's Billy's show. Billy's the lead in this story. This is his story, and he's the one that I felt was the one who got the most connection from the audience. And I feel as though he's the one who got the most fleshed out story. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone else is great. I loved the portrayal of Zach in this movie, how he has kind of a more tragic story, and I wish they would have done more with that, though. That's the one complaint I have with him, is they don't really... He needed more focus, because the actor who's playing him was a great actor as well. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. But what he did with Zach, he wasn't like a goofball dancer like he was in the original series. He lived in a trailer park, his mother's not doing well, and they handled it really well. He was the one who seemed the most sympathetic, at least from that point, and I just wish they would have done more with that. But I understand time restraints, and you have to focus more on the leader of the Power Rangers and the three that are introduced first, but I wish they would have fleshed out Zach and Trini a little bit more. But what we do get with them, we do see them as humans this time, not so much as goofy teenage caricatures. And I'm happy that they handled the Power Rangers really well. Like I said, everyone else is fine, but RJ stole the show, no doubt. One thing I do have to talk about is the action scenes. Now, please understand, if you're going to go into this movie, know that the Power Rangers don't actually show up until the last 30 minutes of the film. The rest of it is them learning how to morph. And you know what? Watching that is actually really, really fun to watch. The training montage is supposed to be basically the original fight scene throughout the movie. Some people might find it boring, but I didn't mind it. I love training montages. I think it's really cool. I think it's really fun. The actors looked like they were having a lot of fun doing it as well. It reminds me of 80s movies with, the montages and stuff like that. Rocky, Karate Kid, those things. And a movie can't go wrong if it has a training montage in my brain. But some people might find it kind of boring. And I think one thing that actually helps the movie work from not having too much action is that the actors in it are all really, really good actors. I love the characters in this film. I love how they all are portrayed. And if the actors were as goofy as they were in the original series, then it wouldn't have worked. But the fact that everyone is taking their roles seriously allows the film to work at this more smooth pace as opposed to a frantic Transformers-esque pace in a way that I think a lot of people wouldn't expect it to work. Now, like I said, that's not for everybody. Some people want to go in and see the Power Rangers acting like the Power Rangers throughout the entire film. But this is more of a character study, an origin story to the Power Rangers. And I'm hoping that with the follow-up films that are going to come, because apparently they want to do a lot more of these films, that they allow them to have a lot more action in their suits, and we get more screen time with the Zords. The Zords fights were really cool. What I liked about them was they treated them like more military weapons, even though I do wish they did the original designs in a more modern way. But they didn't look bad. They didn't look bad at all. I at first didn't like them, but they grew on me, especially seeing how they were used in the film, made them look a lot better. There was also really, really good quips throughout the movie, which I have to give credit for. I love quips. And when they're actually fighting, they actually treated it like how the original Power Rangers series did, with the really campy dialogue, at least in the fist fight scenes. When they're in their Zords, it's handled a little differently, and the final fight is actually really well paced, really well choreographed, really well edited. There is a little shaky cam here and there, but it's not too bad. And the final Megazord battle reminded me of Pacific Rim, and I like that a lot, obviously. One thing, this is minor, but something I thought was really, really cool was the title card for the film. Now, it's not some big booming thing with the Thunderbolt in the middle or anything like that. No, they didn't do something along those lines. What they did was something small, something minor. The screen just cuts to black, and on the bottom right-hand corner, you just see it say Power Rangers. And why I like that is it just matches the tone of the film, more of a dark, gloomy look at the Power Rangers. Now, keep in mind, the movie's not too dark. Don't let me saying that make you think it's like some dark epic or something along those lines. But it's just like, hey, this is the tone we're going for. We're not going for the original Power Rangers, not entirely, at least. This is a new take on Power Rangers. This is a much smaller, much more personal take on the Rangers than what we've seen before. And for some reason, I adored that little segment that they handled with the title. Now, there are a few negatives in this film. Like I said, a lot of people will not like the handling of, not too many fight scenes. And yes, it can actually feel a little bit boring in the movie. But what I did like about it is, like I said, that the characters do let it feel a little bit faster than it is. But I know, it isn't for everybody. And also, there is a heavy emphasis on product placement. Now, I don't know if that was intentionally that stupid or if they just were trying. I don't know what they were doing with the product placement in this film. It was so in your face that I was like, oh my goodness. Now, it's Power Rangers, and Power Rangers is literally the only thing that can get away with that. If it was any other series, no one would be okay with it. But since it is Power Rangers, and Power Rangers is known for being goofy, it might have been intentional. But some people might be like, that was ridiculous how they handled that. It is silly, but it's Power Rangers silly, so it makes sense. But it was a little too stupid even for me. My jaw even dropped when they were doing it. I didn't expect it, even though this company was heavily advertising the film, so I guess it should have been expected more. But I wasn't expecting to be that in my face about it. like I said, that's more of a nitpick than anything, even though it is pretty heavy of a plot point. Anyways, I do heavily recommend Power Rangers, at least checking it out if you can get it at matinee even. Hopefully you'll love it as much as I did. Peace. And yes, the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme song is in the movie. I'm happy to let you know that. Take care.